Ever wake up feeling that sinking pit in your stomach because you can't stop replaying something you said or did? You're not alone. Millions of us lie awake at night haunted by cringeworthy moments and if-only scenarios. If you find yourself always regretting your decisions, big or small, stick around. I'm Einstick, and we're about to break down 7 brutally honest steps, counting down from 7 to 1, or counting up, I guess, to help you drop the regret baggage once and for all. Why we regret. So, regret isn't just random self-torture, it exists for a reason, believe it or not. Our brains focus on mistakes and negative outcomes because, historically, it's kept us alive. If you ate a bad berry or made a poor survival choice, regret was the brain's way of saying, never do that again. This negativity bias can be helpful. If you touch a hot stove once, you probably won't do it again, but it can obviously go overboard. That's why one tiny slip-up can overshadow 100 successful moments. It doesn't help that your brain also loves to exaggerate. Hindsight bias makes you think, I should have seen that coming, as if you had all the future knowledge back then. Regret also feels more intense because your mind replays and amplifies mistakes, warping them into bigger disasters than they ever were. One awkward comment at a party becomes, in your memory, the social fail of the century. You forget that everyone else either didn't notice or forgot 10 minutes later. The key here is acknowledging that regret isn't necessarily evil. It's simply an alarm telling you there's something to learn here. But if you let that alarm ring non-stop, you're going to drive yourself and everyone around you completely crazy. Recognize that your mind is prone to highlight the negative. It's not a sign you're doomed. It's just how human brains are wired. And once you get that, you can start telling your brain, thanks for the reminder, but let's move on. Turn regret into data. Think of regret like an error message on your computer. Sure, it's annoying, but it also tells you something about what went wrong. It's feedback. Instead of wallowing in how terrible you feel, ask, what lesson does this regret offer? Or in simpler terms, what can I do differently next time? Say you regret snapping at your best friend over something trivial. You can beat yourself up forever, or you can decide you'll take a breath before responding to stress in the future. If you regret missing out on a job opportunity, turn it into a plan. Next time, update your resume earlier or practice for the interview. Using regret as fuel for improvement transforms it from emotional deadweight into a driving force. In practical terms, each regret is an invitation to become better. It's a note from your past self, pointing out an area you can work on. But here's the important part. Once you've gleaned the lesson, let it go. Write down what you learned if you need to, then shift your focus forward. Because dwelling on regret after you've extracted the lesson is like taking the same test over and over, even after you passed it. It's pointless. A little reflection is good, endless rumination is not. Let go of cringe. We all have those moments you said you too when the waiter told you enjoy your meal, or you tripped in front of your crush. At 3 a.m. your brain decides it's the perfect time to replay that humiliating scene in slow motion. Here's the cold truth though, nobody else cares. Most people are too busy worrying about their own cringe to dwell on yours. It's called the spotlight effect. We believe a spotlight is constantly shining on us, but everyone else is the star of their own show. Your massive blunder is a mere footnote in someone else's day. Even if they did notice, it was probably a fleeting thought, quickly replaced by their own concerns. So the next time you feel that wave of secondhand embarrassment creeping up, remind yourself that you're probably the only one on earth reliving it. Laugh about it if you can. Telling a friend, oh man, I did the most awkward thing the other day, can actually help you diffuse that shame. When you share a cringe story as a funny anecdote, you rob it of its humiliating power. Make, yeah, that happened, whatever, your mantra for these tiny slip-ups. Life's too short to be mortified over a moment nobody else even remembers. The past is unchangeable. You cannot rewrite history, period. No matter how many times you replay the scenario or how passionately you curse your past self, nothing will change. Yet we torture ourselves with this mental time travel, imagining alternate outcomes. Why do we do this? Well, it's because our brains lie to us, telling us we might glean some ultimate insight if we keep rehashing. It's a trap called rumination, when you keep running the same thought loops without reaching a new conclusion. Here's the harsh truth about that. Every minute you spend obsessing over a locked-in mistake is a minute you're not investing in fixing the present or improving the future. Would you keep reading the same chapter of a book you can't rewrite? Of course not. I mean, unless you like that chapter, but you don't like this chapter. You'd move on to the next one. So treat your life that way. Acknowledge your regrets, accept you can't alter the past, and direct your mental energy towards something productive, like creating new, better memories, because you only got so much of that energy to use. Why waste it on something that doesn't matter? It may help to set a rumination limit if you got to. Give yourself like 10 minutes a day max to stew on that regret if you must. The rest of the time, whenever the memory intrudes, Tell yourself, nope, time's up. This can train your mind to stop fueling that pointless loop. You'll be surprised at how effective a simple boundary can really be. Make regret work for you. Regret can actually be your ally if you wield it right. Instead of letting it weigh you down, convert that guilty energy into forward momentum. Guilt is a signal that says, yeah, I can do better next time. So do better. If you regret not being kinder to someone, go show kindness to a different person. If you regret losing track of fitness, let that pang push you to grab your sneakers and get moving. Sure, it's way simpler to moan, I messed up so bad, but that gets you like nowhere. Action is the only remedy. Want to feel less crappy about skipping workouts? Hit the gym today, not tomorrow. Regret is a potent motivator if you flip it from passively punishing yourself to actively improving yourself. Think of it as rocket fuel, dangerous if stored and unused, but powerful if harnessed for action. Be mindful not to confuse guilt with shame. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. The former can help you change your behaviors. The latter just paralyzes you. So keep it in guilt territory. I messed up, but I can fix it or learn from it. That mindset keeps you in control rather than letting regret control you. Becoming that person who moves on fast. We all know someone who seems to bounce back from mistakes or embarrassments like it's nothing. We made a whole video on that dude. They apologize if needed, correct what they can, and then stroll forward without a second thought. Meanwhile, you're still tortured by the memory of misspelling a word in front of your boss in 2019. How do they do it? Well, first, they practice self-compassion. When they mess up, they don't jump to, I'm an idiot or I'm unworthy. They think, that sucked, but I'll do better next time. This approach is crucial. The kinder you are to yourself, the easier it is to move on. Second, they keep perspective. Did you spill coffee on your new shirt before an important meeting? Sure, it's annoying, but is it a life-ruining tragedy? Hardly. Mentally zoom out. In the grand scheme of your life, it's a blip. This attitude helps them shake off small missteps or big regrets quickly. And the plot twist here is, that guy, that person, is you. You can learn that skill. Next time you catch yourself spiraling over a mistake, ask, what would Mr. Chill do? Okay, I had to go and make it cringe, but you get my point. Laugh it off, fix what's fixable, and continue. Even if it feels unnatural at first, and it will, trust me. Keep practicing it though. Eventually it becomes a habit, and you'll find yourself shrugging off regrets like a pro. And don't get me wrong, that does not mean you will never feel bad. Feeling bad is a part of life. No, this just means you don't marinate in that feeling indefinitely. The happiness shortcut. If you're done letting regrets eat you alive, here's the shortcut. Stop overthinking, start taking action, and give yourself permission to be flawed. Happy people aren't happy because life never hands them regrets, though they definitely do. They're happy because they don't dwell on those regrets forever. They use regret to learn, to move forward. They also recognize that we often regret inactions more than actions, things we never did. That's why living bolder now, even if it leads to a few mistakes, often results in fewer regrets overall. And speaking of overthinking, analyzing every decision to death doesn't usually lead to perfect choices. It just leads to more stress and missed opportunities. The biggest regrets often come from what we didn't do. So the real remedy for regret is, ironically, taking more educated risks. Dare to try new things, speak your mind, and chase those goals you've been shelving out of fear. If you fail or look silly, guess what? You'll learn, adapt, and be better off than if you've never tried. There's a simple formula for happiness, if I may Einstick on you real quick. Learn to accept your flaws, gather insights from your regrets, and then act on them. That's it. Regret only has power if you let it freeze you in place. Instead, aim to be that person who says, yes, I messed up, but I'm going to do something about it, and then does exactly that. It's a subtle but massive mental shift from being passively punished by regret to actively using it as your personal motivational coach. For free! Conclusion. Focus on what matters, let go of the rest. Regret can either be a dead end or a detour sign pointing you somewhere better. Your choice. The next time a regret creeps up, maybe it's a job you didn't take, a harsh word you spoke, or an embarrassing slip-up. Pause and decide how you'll handle it. Will you bury yourself in self-loathing, or will you learn the lesson, take a step forward, and free your mind for better things? Picture your future self looking back on today. What will they wish you'd done? Right now is your chance to fix it. No more drowning in memories you can't change, no more clinging to cringe, no more passing up action because you're scared of regret. If you're regretting everything, the real key is to do something right now that future you will thank you for. Remember, your mistakes are not final. Your awkward moments aren't doomsday events, and your regrets do not have to define you. They're just temporary road signs. Learn from them, laugh at them, and keep driving. That's the difference between living in regret and living a life that acknowledges regret but doesn't bow down to it. So enough talk. Go make a move that reduces tomorrow's regrets today. Your future self is waiting with a high five.